Hey everybody, I'm back from my trip to Chillicothe. I came home through Jackson and then Oak Hill and then Portsmouth and everything. So not going to be any moving trains in this one. Just some stuff what I saw relates to my layout and some other stuff. So probably split it in two parts because it's kind of long. This isn't for everybody, but some people seem to like this kind of stuff. So enjoy part one. Hey everybody, it's Saturday, July 2nd. I'm just pulled into Chillicothe. This is the south end of Chillicothe. The paper mill is up there. If you remember me filming that CSX train switching with the caboose, this was like the little yard that they were switching in. But that's the Norfolk Southern main line over there. What made me stop, you get a Conrail car, I believe these are all just at this point maintenance away stuff, probably filled with old ties. There's a Penn Central station stenciled, another Conrail. See a whole bunch of them over there too. If I turn around and look south, there's a whole bunch of them down that way. So they must be doing a big tie replacement program on this line right now. Sorry for the bouncy while I'm walking. But, so in Chillicothe, gonna go to a ball game with my brother tonight. Gonna swing by the cemetery and see how all the graves are looking. Stay all night with my mother-in-law tonight, and then go to Oak Hill and Jackson tomorrow. I'm down at the ball fields now, and you can see the wherever tank there looking kind of rusty. Worse for wear. I'm looking east. So again, I only modeled like 2 tracks. And this is actually sort of a yard here, really. And there's the CSX local that runs Monday through Friday. Basically just switches the paper plant at this point, because none of my industries are still in business. And you can see my yard office down there, just over top of the dumpsters. This is the ball fields, and the caboose that I modeled used to sit basically at this ball field right here. That's where the caboose was at. So I sort of tried to copy their fence for their backdrop. So I'm just going to idle very, very slowly past the local. Used to have a mother slug set here, but there's just not enough business at the paper mill anymore. They don't need 2 locomotives, basically. Very short trains, as you would expect, covered hoppers and tank cars. I'm in the parking lot for the ball fields is where I'm at, so. Now you'll be able to see the yard office and the caboose. That caboose has been here for over 30 years. Looking sort of worse for wear. So is the yard office, really. And there's ITT Grinnell across the road, which you can probably recognize. Here's a picture I took over 30 years ago of the same caboose. It's been in town that long. Notice the locomotive has been re-stenciled for CSX. Hey, it's Sunday morning, July 3rd. I am standing on the old B&O main line. I'm looking east toward you know, the depot and, you know, the area I model a couple miles east of here. So you can see that warehouse. It used to be an appliance warehouse, had a siding there. Sort of across from it, which you can't see now, there used to be a grain elevator, but that burnt down in the early 1950s in a spectacular fire. What I want to talk about is you can sort of see this embankment curves around here, and there's a spur line that went down, had a little bit of street running on it, went down there. You see it had a couple unloading doors there. This is the main line. It is now a bicycle trail. Runs out to Musselman Junction where the line split. The left side went to Cincinnati, which was the main line. The right side was the old CH&D, and that went to Washington Courthouse and on to Dayton. And that part is the rail trail. You can ride a bike from Chillicothe to Washington Courthouse on the rail trail now. They call it the Triangle Trail. Just through these trees, I'll walk over there and show you what's there. Now, I may have shown you this in the video before, I can't remember. This was a coal dealer, and it's called Litter Coal. And, you know, so I would remember as a kid seeing coal cars parked there. Of course, it was nowhere near as busy in the 70s as it was earlier than that. This was their scale house, so they would do local deliveries. Cars would come in on the train. They had several different areas where, you know, for different grades of coal. Dump there. A guy would come in with his empty truck, get weighed, go load up with coal, get weighed on his way out, and that was their business. So I always thought this would be a really cool thing to model. Wouldn't get much business in the 70s, 80s, but anyhow, it's a really cool structure. We're standing on here, sort of like a little alley. There used to be a line of row houses up here, and so this was just like a little alley back behind them. But so this is off the main line.
And here's a picture from down below that I took over 30 years ago. I think the main line had been pulled when I took this already.
Sorry about looking into the sun a little bit. Where this vacant field was a scrap metal dealer, also on a spur off the main line. I'm pretty much standing on the main line right now. So in this area, they had, behind me, they had a little siding to go to the coal dealer. Off to the right, that way, was the line that went down the street running. I'll show you what was on that in a minute. And then to the left, they had a little spur that went into this scrap metal dealer. This is called Riverside Street in Chillicothe because the river is right on the other side of the flood wall there. And I've never seen a picture of this place, this scrap metal dealer, but I sure remember it as a kid. All right, let's go look at what else is on the little spur to the right. Okay, so this building to the right used to belong to the power company, and they had a place where they would unload power poles right here. They had like a little yard here where they had a bunch of different power poles. To the left, this was a warehouse for appliances and stuff, and they actually had a loading dock there.
So the curved building, you can see where the two yellow lines are, that has gone. It's been torn off the back of this building that's still there. So that's where the two spurs were on both sides. And it wasn't really an appliance warehouse. It was more like small, like kitchenware, blenders, mixers, that kind of stuff. Not big appliances.
Right to the maps I've seen. And on the other side of it, they had a spur also that curved around to, I don't know if the loading dock is still there or not, you know, so I don't know if that they filled that in and that used to be loading dock for cars. I'm not sure. There also used to be a brewery here, but that brewery has been out of business for a long time.
So the other yellow line heading toward Water Street, you can see the brewery there. That's the red line is pointing down toward the brewery. And of course, that was way out of business. Never received rail service, but there was a spur heading off somewhere in this area. I can't remember exactly where now, and you can't see in this photograph.
That's a new building there. Down here at the end, I'm going to show you, there was a grain elevator, and they had to serve it with a switchback. So in the late 80s, they tore it down. Really cool place.
Here's a couple of pictures I took the grain elevator before they tore it down. The tracks came in from behind it, switched back, and then went in behind it. And rumor is that that building, that office building on the end, was an old railroad depot. Very old. And this is from the back side of it, looking up Riverside.
And the line went on that way for the switchback. And I'll sort of show you the cabooses that are there, that they're sitting on where the line used to be.
Here's 1884 Sanborn map of the area. This is where the cabooses are that I'm about to show you. They sat right about here. Here's the grain elevator and the brewery, and I'll show you a picture of those here in a minute before they tore both of those down. Shame to lose those, especially the brewery. That was a neat building.
All right, let me bore you a little bit with some Chillicothe history. So, this lake down here, it's the City Park Lake called Yoctangi Lake. That used to be the riverbed at one time, long time ago. Curves around to the right. This is Water Street, and because it's next to the river, this lane of Water Street here did not exist. Those buildings there are all very old buildings. Used to be a very narrow street, and the canal ran about where I'm standing. And along here, there's a railroad track that ran down here and served a couple businesses along the canal. Of course, the canal went out in 1907. But anyhow, this line basically went on down to where the traffic light is down there and ended in my era. But now they put these cabooses here. So I'm looking back east toward where the grain elevator was. So they would come down onto the switchback and then push into the grain elevator and come back. That was the last customer on this spur. So they have made this into a railroad museum. The first time they put this caboose here, actually helped paint it and stencil it. Dwight Jones, who's the B&O caboose expert, had the stencils made. I got pictures of me up there. Of course, it's probably been painted since then, because we're talking 30 some years ago.
Yeah, that's me up there. Probably about 30 years ago and 30 pounds lighter, I imagine.
And the caboose down here, you see they've got some signals up. This caboose is the caboose that was sitting by the ballpark, the one that essentially I modeled. Sat down there for many, many years, got really, really bad shape. They were going to scrap it, but donate to the city of Chillicothe. They moved it down here and restored it. And so it looks like it needs another coat of paint here sometime pretty soon, but it's in good hands. It's pretty solid anyhow. So if you're ever in Chillicothe on Water Street, you can come check out these cabooses. I'll show you the when the museum was open anyhow. Not a whole lot in there. You can't fit a whole lot in a caboose, but still it's glad to see them here. So again, this is Water Street, and the canal ran down through here, turned to right where those traffic lights were. Went out that way.
So here's a view looking west on Water Street, and that B&O boxcar on the right is probably about where the cabooses are today.
On my way to Oak Hill, stopped in Richmonddale, Ohio. This is the old Cincinnati Hamilton of Dayton, which was taken over by the B&O in about 1916. Now it is the Ohio South Central Railroad. I'm looking back toward Chillicothe, so I'm looking west, and this is looking east. Again, this is the old CH&D, or the Wellston subdivision for the B&O. So they got these cars here, and it's a transloading operation. I can't really drive down to it. I'm going to see if I can figure out where it is, get any closer to it. They get these covered hoppers. I'm not sure what's in them. I've heard it might be road salt, but let's see if we can figure out what it is. All right, I did find the driveway back into the place, and I'm undoubtedly trespassing, so I'm not going to approach them. It does look like they do unloading here. So there's their unloading. They dump from the hoppers and they load into trucks of some type. It's really cool. I remember when they first delivered that engine, got that engine, I saw it on the spur in Chillicothe. N&W delivered it to CSX, and CSX delivered it to them. So anyhow, neat little transloading operation in Richmondale, Ohio. I think I owe my wife a car wash. So yeah, I want everybody to remind everybody to stay safe. Getting dusk, so the fireworks are going to start pretty soon. My wife's got the American flag out, and she's got some bunting on the front of the garage door. Part 2, I don't know when I'll post it, but actually we went on down to Jackson and then Oak Hill in part 2. So again, everybody stay safe, especially with the fireworks.